and welcome to the fourth episode of the Built for More podcast. Now, if you are if you're watching and listening to this should be released after Christmas on the 30th of December. So we are very, very close to the beginning of 2025, which is super exciting. So before I get into the nitty gritty of this podcast, I just wanted to give you guys a little summary of what I got up to over the Christmas break. If you're not interested in this, that is fine. Just skip until we get into the meaty part of it. But over the Christmas period, I've given myself a few days off. So obviously I was off, I was working on Christmas Eve and I was off on Christmas Day, Boxing Day. Today, when I am recording this, is the 27th and I have been back working, doing one-to-one online client check-ins, and then just bits of admin stuff that I didn't get around to doing before my days off as well. So we've been filling the day up with that. And of course, messaging all my lovely clients back as well. And of course, I'm filming this podcast, filming and recording this podcast as well, because obviously I upload it onto YouTube as well. This has been the first year where I've given myself 4 days off, because I'm also off on tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday as well, because usually I just do Christmas Day, Boxing Day and then straight back into it again. So I've given myself a little bit more time off, which is something that, if you know me from like my content and Instagram, or if you know me personally, or if you're a client, you will know that it is something that not necessarily that I wouldn't say that I struggle with. It's something that I am constantly trying to improve on, is taking time for me and taking time off, because I really do struggle with it. Even like if I'm on holiday and I'm sat around the pool, I'll get itchy and I'll start opening up Canva and editing posts and making posts. So it's something that I am actively trying to do, and it's something that I have been getting better at doing year on year as well. So yeah, I took a little bit of extra time off with the extra 2 days. And honestly, even just after Christmas Day and Boxing Day, I feel so much more refreshed. Even like coming in this morning, it's literally I work from home on Fridays doing one-to-one client check-ins. But starting work this morning, honestly, I felt like I had so much more energy, so much more like va-va-voom to my check-ins, and I just realised, right, okay, this is the reason why I need to push to have my Sundays off, because I'm meant to have Sundays off every week anyway, but work always usually creeps in, so it is something that I am going to set a boundary over. It's like I need to just fucking graft to have that Sunday off, because it is going to make me feel so much better. And again, I can reflect on this period and going, remember how you felt after the Christmas period, getting back into work again, and how much more positively it affected your work too. And this is something that I say to my clients when I refer to like the gym, and if they had those moments where they don't feel motivated on going to the gym, I kind of have that with like working. Like I struggle like stopping work. So what I say to my guys when they are having that moment where the last thing they want to do is to go to the gym, is remember how they felt when they last completed a workout that they didn't want to do, how proud of themselves that they felt, how much energy and obviously the like lovely endorphins that are flowing when you are training. It's like trying to take yourself back to that moment and remembering that too. I need to remember this with taking some time off as well. And again, if you've been following me, you'll probably know that I've been getting back into baking again, which is something that I really, really used to love a few years ago. So I'm getting that back into my life as well. And of course, straight in on Boxing Day, straight back into the gym and utilising the fuel from the Christmas Day, from that turkey dinner, to push some PBs in the gym. And honestly, that was the best session yesterday. And I've had today off as a rest day. I did some cardio. But in terms of resistance training, it has been a rest day, and I'm really, really looking forward to my next upper body session tomorrow. Like, I'm itching to get back in as well, especially because of all the extra energy that I've got from the Christmas chockies and the extra food as well. So, digging into the meaty part of this podcast. By the way, if you hear any rustling about, it's just Molly behind me. She's keeping cozy. So you see like a little dog in a jumper walk behind me if you are watching this on YouTube or watching it on Spotify as well, because obviously I upload the video on Spotify too. That is Molly. She's my dog. She likes to wear jumpers, so she's in a Christmas jumper. So this podcast episode is going to be about understanding scale weight and the fluctuations in scale weight as well. And I thought this would be a good podcast to film at this time of the year because let's be honest, we've all probably overeaten on Christmas Day. And if you've not overeaten on Christmas Day, what are you doing? Because, yeah, everyone overeats on Christmas Day. It is part of it. And if you have stepped on the scale after Christmas and you've noticed a little bit of a rise, I'm going to go through some of the reasons why this could be as well. Now, I'm not going to bullshit you. One of the reasons why the scale weight might have increased is because you might have increased body fat. Like you might. Like I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. My job is to give you the truth. However, if you have if you've not pressed the fuck it button, if you have not been a dickhead with your nutrition and you've had just one day of having a great time with family, friends, and just enjoying food and drink, just like I did, and the scale weight goes up just like mine did, you know it's going to be more than likely water retention and potentially inflammation as well. But I'll get into all the reasons why scale weight can increase as well. So I do think it's important to know this on if you are on a fat loss journey and if you're in a fat gaining journey. I mean, you might be in a fat gaining journey. I have worked with people before who have been underweight in terms of body fat and wants to gain fat. But if you're in a muscle building phase as well and you're in an improvement phase and you want to gain muscle mass, it's good to understand the reasons why scale weight can fluctuate as well, because you might have a big drop on the scale when your goal might not be to drop scale weight, and you might wonder why that is as well. And having this information will be really good for you to help deal with, like, if you do look at a number on a scale and it's not what you would have expected or not what you want, and your emotions tend to and you tend to get a bit emotional about it, this information that I'm going to teach you today is going to be super, super important for you to counteract those emotions with logic and help you just continue on your fat loss journey, knowing and just getting back on track again without having an emotional reaction to the scale, which is exactly not what we want as well. And it's also really important to understand that scale weight is just one piece of the puzzle in the whole fat loss journey as well. Now with my clients, I utilize lots of different metrics in order to monitor progress, scale weight being just one of them as well. And it is good to look at over a period of time to see what, like, in terms of like the trend, but it is not the whole picture as well. Now, one thing that I did want to get into before we have a deep dive in the reasons why you can have scale fluctuations is the difference between scale weight and fat loss and muscle loss as well. So with scale weight is just your relationship to gravity, and you might be heavier and you might be lighter, whereas fat loss is the body fat, like, underneath the layer of your skin. Now, you can weigh heavier on the scale and be leaner and have less body fat, but your scale weight is heavier. And you can also weigh lighter but have more body fat as well. And this is really this comes up quite prevalent with, like, lifters, and this can be both male and female lifters. And I know it's something that I've experienced myself, and I have posted this on my Instagram before, and I'll probably post it again in a couple of weeks as well, just so you guys can see. Whereas when I'm 60 kilograms is the weight that I was when I started my fat loss journey. When I wasn't in a great place, like physical and mental health wise, but then my last cut I went above 60 kilograms. I think it was like 68, 69, and then I came back down to 60 kilograms. And looking at my physique when I was coming down to 60 kilograms compared to when I very first started my fat loss journey, which is mad to say that I went above that and then went back down to 60 and then continued losing after that. It's mad to see the difference in my physique from 60 kilograms at the beginning of this year, 2024, to 2019 at 60 kilograms. It's massively different. So it's good to look at, like, for example, you'll see this a lot of the time with physique athletes or bodybuilders when they'll end up coming up as overweight on the BMI, but they're fucking shredded and massive, and you know obviously the scale weight means jack shit, because you know it's going to be muscle mass. So it's good to, yes, take scale weight if your goal is to lose body fat, but you also want to be taking other metrics as well. for example, measurements. And something that I say to new clients, if they are very, very focused on the scale and they are emotionally invested in the scale, is what do you want? Do you want to look good, or do you want to weigh good? Because I can get someone, when I'm coaching someone, to, yes, they'll go down the scale, but they'll trickle down the scale, but their measurements are fucking flying. And sometimes, if someone's new to coaching, or if someone's new to the fat loss process and the body recomposition process, if their scale weight is trickling down, but on some silly fad diet, the scale weight would fly down, they would see fat loss as not being as good with what they're doing with me, when actually we look at your measurements and your measurements are fucking flying down, it's actually better, because it just means that you're retaining muscle mass, which is a good thing. Like, you want to be retaining muscle mass for your overall health and well-being, not just in terms of your current self, but in your future self as well, and as you age. If you saw that little blind thing going, that's because I think Molly sat on it. So if it falls on me during this podcast, that will be funny. And if you're not watching this, you won't know what I'm talking about. But this little backdrop here has a tendency to fall on me sometimes, so we shall see how that goes. But yeah, like, something that I say to my guys when they first start out on me, and if they do tend to get like a little bit in their head about scale weight, is if I had an option here where you weighed the weight that you want to weigh in your head, but you looked exactly the same, or if I take like the second option and you look the way that you want to look, but you weigh exactly the same, most people will always take that option. Most people will always want to look different but weigh the exact same. It's something that, if the scale weight is getting into your head, just clarify between those two options and choose what you want to choose. And remember to go off centimeters if your goal is to be like, if your goal is to get smaller and to actually have fat loss. And it's important to recognize as well that your, like, the scale weight, as I was saying, it's your relationship with gravity. It's not just body fat. Yes, your scale weight includes your body fat, but it also includes your muscle mass. It includes water that you've previously drank and got under the top layer of your skin. It also includes the food in your digestive system that you might not have passed through your bowels, and a lot more as well, which we're going to go into detail now. So, in terms of scale fluctuation, let's first go over water retention. So what can cause water retention on scale weight? So the big one for females is hormonal changes. Now, if you are a woman watching this, you've probably like gone, oh, hormones, it controls everything. And the annoying part of being a woman, pardon me, the annoying part of being a woman is that every single week in our monthly cycle, we're going to have different hormones. So on a week by week basis, our scale weight might show something different depending on if you're holding on to water. And that's not just in case in terms of hormonal changes like your menstrual cycle, but hormonal changes can also be due to stress as well. If you started taking a new pill, like for example, like a contraception pill, or another pill in general, for example, like Racotin for your skin, that can cause hormonal changes. That's what it's about. If you're taking like a mental health medication, again, that can cause water retention. Basically, if you ever take a different type of medication that can cause hormonal changes, it can lead to water retention as well. If, for example, the day before you weigh yourself, you decide to have either more salt in your day, or you have a salty meal, because of that higher sodium intake than what you're used to, or if you're having very inconsistent meals day-to-day basis with different levels of sodium, this can affect your scale weight, which is, I know obviously, as if you joined on my team, I don't take competition prep clients, but if you come on my team as a lifestyle client, you will more than likely be having different foods every single day. Now, when I go into prep from next April, I think I'll be having the exact same meals with the exact same sodium. Now, the reason for this is just to keep everything super, super accurate, so that every change that we are making, we are bang on the money with. And that's just something that you do in competition prep. I don't do that with lifestyle clients, but just to show you like the extreme levels in terms of dieting, of what to do. Like, you can essentially control that, but if you are a lifestyle client, you will get fluctuations from like different sodium intakes throughout the days as well. Hydration levels as well, and this is something that definitely surprised me when I first learnt this, is if you are dehydrated, you will hold on to more water. And if you are very hydrated, you will hold on to less water. And it's something that I've been telling my clients, last week over the Christmas period, and something that I've still said to them today as well, is make sure your hydration levels over the holiday period and over the Christmas period is bang on. Like, you're not letting that hydration level drop. Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Eve, whatever, you're still hitting your water targets. And the reason why is because this will help you avoid holding on to water retention as well. So making sure that your hydration levels are consistent will help you not retain water. But if your hydration levels have been inconsistent, then your scale weight will also be inconsistent as well. Next thing is glycogen storage. What do I mean from glycogen storage? So if you have a day, or if you have a few days where you've had higher carbohydrates, i.e., let's say it's been Christmas and Boxing Day, and you've enjoyed yourself with your food, you more than likely have been eating more calories in the form of carbohydrates. Now, I just want to, just as a little mini disclaimer to this, carbohydrates are not bad for you at all. If we just go into the science of this, our bodies love carbohydrates. It's our body's preferred source of energy, because when we intake carbohydrates, our body transforms. Our body turns this into glycogen, and then this glycogen binds with water in our muscles, which is amazing for muscle growth, for progress in the gym, for our brain as well, our cognitive function. It's really, really good for us. However, if we have a day or a couple of days where we've had higher carbs, it can make the scale jump. So it won't be fat gains. Let's say, obviously on Christmas, I enjoy myself with food. The day after, I put a kilogram on. That's not fat gain. It's not. More than likely, I've got some food in my digestive system, which I'll talk to you about in a second. And again, from the increased carbohydrates, a lot of carbohydrates as well, because I am a fan of a chocolate biscuit. I have been storing carbohydrates in my muscles, which led to an amazing session on Boxing Day for me. So I did want to put a disclaimer here: carbohydrates are not bad. They're amazing, but if you have a jump in carbs, it is going to cause a fluctuation on the scale as well. Leading on to what I was saying about food in my digestive system, I also want to talk about digestion and how that can affect scale fluctuation as well. So if you've had a recent meal, if you've had increased fibre content, or let's say you check in at 6 a.m. on a Friday, but you've had dinner at, say, 11 p.m. like the day before, so on Thursday, if you have a late dinner, and all of these things can add temporary weight. So the reason being is that essentially you have food in your digestive system and you haven't gone to the bathroom yet. You haven't passed that food yet. There's no really nice way that I can put it, is that you need to go. You need to go and you need to pass that food. So because of that, like as I was saying with Christmas Day, yes, I had more high carbs and that got stored in my muscles, but I probably still had some of that Christmas dinner in my digestive system. I needed to go to the toilet and I needed to pass that. And it's going to be the same for you if you have like a day where you've had high carbs, or if you had a late meal, or as I said before, like if you have a day or if you have a meal that's really high in fibre, but the fibre that can slow your digestive system down, again, you've probably just got food in your digestive system. It'll pass. Next thing that I want to talk about is exercise and muscle inflammation. And you're probably like, shit, exercise? What do you mean exercise can make me gain scale weight? Yes. And this is the reason why you'll have certain, I'm very conscious of saying the name, and I can't think of something that it rhymes with as well, otherwise I'd say something that it rhymes with, but WW and SW, yeah, I think that's it. Those kinds of clubs will kind of try and not get you to exercise. They'll be like, oh no, don't exercise because it'll make your weight loss be slower. And it won't make your fat loss be slower, but yes, it'll make your weight loss be slower, which is why it's important to understand the difference between scale weight and like weight loss and fat loss. So exercise can make you gain scale weight or maintain scale weight due to muscle inflammation. So if it's been a while since you trained and then you get back into training as well as like a new diet, or you're switching up your diet, you might notice that the scale weight might not move as much as what it did previously, and that's because the intense workout or the switch of training or getting back into training again, that can cause temporary water retention because it's part of the healing process. So let's say you do a really intense workout, you train legs just like me yesterday, and you've got DOMs, so you're feeling like a little bit of a soreness, or even if you don't feel those DOMs and you don't feel that muscle soreness, but you know that you trained really bloody hard, more than likely you're holding on to a little bit of water retention because your body's trying to heal the muscles that you have essentially ripped during your training, because that's what we do when you train hard and you're pushing close to that failure point, which you should be doing if you're training hard. You're causing little tiny micro tears in the muscle, and of course water retention in the muscle is going to help heal those muscles so they become stronger, and then either retain the size that they are or build on the size that you've got as well. So yeah, and this is really, as I was saying before, it's really common with new training, or if you've changed your plan, or if you have like an extra hard session, just like me and my girls, like on Boxing Day with our turkey dinner PBs. And as I was saying before about hormonal shifts, so if you have with hormonal shift, menstrual cycle phases can increase water retention. It can also increase bloating as well. This is something that I suffer with on the week before I start, is that I get very, very bloated, and my face tends to puff up a little bit more as well. This is very, very normal, and it's essentially when you the week before and the week of your cycle, is just start being a little bit more aware of yourself and just taking some like little notes down as well. And this is something that I get my girls to do. If they get bloated at a certain time in the cycle, if they take a note of that, we can start to see a pattern come up, so that the week before their cycle, if their scale increases, then we're like, oh, this happens every single month. We know that you're going to drop next week. Easy, cracking. Let's move on. And also, if you've had a very stressful period at work, if you've got a lot of stress going on in your life as well, the cortisol spikes can also contribute to weight changes or like weight maintenance as well. And this is something that I noticed with one of my clients a few weeks ago. I'm not going to go into details, but she was going through a really tough time family wise, and I did notice that yes, she was losing scale weight, yes, she was losing measurements, but with with like the nutrition protocols and the amount that she was training, I just knew that she needed a break. I knew that we needed to ease up on the training. I knew that I needed to give her a little bit of diet break. I needed to get her to like chill the fuck out basically. And then once we went through this and the reason why I've told her to do this, and she obviously followed what I told her to, she chilled out on her training a little bit, not a resistance training but a cardio. We brought that down a little bit, we bumped up calories, and I just told her like just have some fucking time for herself. The scale weight went down the next week with more calories and less movement, and this is just because she was about to explode, that she just needed that like little step back for her body to be like, right, okay, we can actually, we're not in fight or flight mode, like we can actually chill out here and we can start moving. Another thing that I want to talk about is travel and sleep disruptions. So this is something that I do tend to pull my clients up quite a bit on, is poor sleep. So if you have poor sleep, this can massively impact your water balance, and it can also impact your digestive system as well. Poor sleep has like an impact on a lot of things, and I'll probably do a podcast later down the line going in depth on sleep and how much it can affect in your weight loss journey. It can also affect your hormones. It can affect your emotional regulation, which if you struggle with it, like stress eating, emotional eating, poor sleep can affect that as well. But in terms of like scale weight changes, it can just impact your water and your digestive system as well, because if you're not having that sleep, your digestive system is going to be a little bit slower as well. If you also do a lot of flying, long car rides, if you're doing long train journeys as well, the travel, and more so flying, I've noticed, both myself and with people that I've worked with as well, is the flying and the impact of it being in a plane itself can cause quite a lot of water retention. I don't know if you've noticed that your hands, I don't know if everyone struggles with this, I know a lot of my girls do, is like your hands might puff up a little bit, your face might puff up a bit, and you might see people in a plane that will wear those kind of like travel socks, and that's just because of water retention. So they utilising that to help push the water back up through your legs as well, because it is quite a common problem. And as I said, the air circulation isn't the best when you're on a plane as well. It's the same with like long car rides and long train rides as well. If you've ever like done the train journey from London to Manchester, you'll know that it doesn't feel like there's a lot of oxygen in those. Is the name cars? Are they cars on a train? I can't remember what the name of the car. You know what I mean? Like the little sections of the train. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of oxygen in there. So, and again, it's just a recycling the air that's in there, which is not that great for water retention. So the first thing, if you do struggle with scale weight, it's looking at the bigger picture and reframing your relationship with the scale. Now, what I get my clients to do, and it's something that I do myself as well, is instead of depending on the person that I'm working with, I might get to my guys to take daily scale weight, I might get my guys to take weekly scale weight or even monthly scale weight, and some of my clients don't take scale weight at all, and this is just person dependent, because essentially we're wanting to focus on trends over time and not daily fluctuations. And sometimes like one of my clients, Kath, she came to me and she started not taking in scale weight, and recently we've started reintroducing the scale because she's had such a step back from taking scale weight that now she feels that she can take that as well. And I've had that happen with a lot of clients that will start with me. They won't be taking scale weight, then I'll propose the idea to them, see how they feel about it. Obviously, with not like a crazy ton of pressure on it, well, no pressure on getting on scale weight. And then if they want to do it, amazing, and they'll be able to see the difference in terms of their relationship with scale, because they're able to view it as a tool and not a judge. So, as I was saying before, like I like all my guys to focus on trends over time. So what I say to my clients is, yes, there might be weekly changes, and your scale weight might go down every week. It also might not go down every week, but it's looking at it from month to month as well, and over time, and what's happened over that month too. Because there might be a period, like for example, December, where you have a lot more social outings, you have obviously Christmas Day and things like that, and the goal might not be to necessarily lose scale weight, but maybe maintain, or maybe your scale weight might go up, but maybe your measurements maintain. So it's looking at the trends over time and what's going on in your year as well. And it's also really good to utilize other metrics, like I was saying at the beginning of this check-in, like photos, measurements, and even like this is something that not a lot of people know about me in my coaching service, is that I also use lifestyle metrics alongside your like aesthetic metrics, like your like photos, measurements. I also use lifestyle metrics, which is looking at your quality of sleep, looking at your digestive system, looking at your energy, looking at your just trying to think of something like motivation for training. And I also track these metrics as well, just to make sure my clients are feeling their best self too. Because, for example, if you start with me and let's say you have piss poor energy levels and it's week, let's say 4, and you're on a 10 out of 10 energy level, your digestive system is functioning so much more better. That is a massive, massive win. Like huge win that over time will lead to that fat loss in its of itself. So, as I was saying before, in order to help your view of a scale, is use it as a tool, just like a measurement, just like a tape measure, just like taking a picture. It is a tool, not a judge. And if you go up on your scale weight, it's not because you've been bad. It's not because something hasn't worked. You might have literally ticked every single box. You might have been super, super accurate in terms of your nutrition, and the scale might have gone up. That is not because it's not working. Something might need a tweak, fair enough, but it might not be because it's not working. It might be because, yes, you tracked all your food, but you've also had more carbs yesterday, or you had a really shit night's sleep yesterday, or you're just about to start your period. It could be all of these things, but you have literally ticked all the boxes, but you've judged that whole week of being a waste of time because the scale's gone up by like half a kilogram or something like that, and you're not looking at the full month in general, or you're not seeing the logic beyond the emotion of, oh my god, my scale's gone up, I'm not losing progress, and you get yourself into like a little bit of a hole. It's about being able to have that pause, take a step back, and it's like, okay, the scale's gone up, that's interesting, why could it be? Where am I in my cycle at the moment? How's my sleep been? Do I need to go to the bathroom? How's my water been? Did I eat more salty food last night? Did I eat more carbs? Did I have a meal late? And again, it's going through what I've taught you on this podcast to go, okay, could it be this? Could it be this? Could it be this? And then just going through and almost like becoming a detective of why that I've gone up. And it might just be just a tiny fluctuation. Give it a little bit. Look at it next week, and if it's not gone down, cool. Let's make some changes in order to not just get your scale weight down, but looking at it with measurements as well. Because if your measurements have all flown down, but your scale weight has gone up ever so slightly, who the fuck cares? Like, your measurements are showing that you are getting smaller scale weight. As I said before, it could have gone up for loads of different reasons as well. So it's about keeping that in your head too. Also with the scale as well, you might know this, you might not, but something that I say to my guys is avoid weighing yourself after big meals. So majority of my guys haven't weighed themselves after Christmas. I was just curious to see how much put on after Christmas. If you have like a high carb day or a refeed day, off-plan meals and things like that, try not to weigh yourself after that, because if you do have a poor relationship with the scale, it can potentially throw you off, and it's also not going to be accurate as well, because you'll be holding on to water retention from the carbohydrates, which I was talking to you about before. Same with the inconsistent times as well. So if you weighed on week 1 at, let's say, 6 a.m. and week 2 you're weighing at 12 p.m., regardless of if you've eaten or not, because it's an inconsistent time, it can lead to inconsistent results. Speaking of consistency is key. So something that I say to my guys is weigh at the same time each day, weigh on the same day of the week or month, and make sure you're using the same scale, because it's something that I touched on with one of my clients a few weeks ago, because he was using like the Pure Gym scales that he had, but then he was also going to work to weigh and then weighing himself at home. And because he's using different tools, they can give you a different result. Like it's again, I can go into this on like another podcast, but if, for example, you've got your tape measure for measuring yourself, and then I give you my tape measure, it might read different because it's just a different tool, it's just been calibrated differently, and that's okay. It doesn't necessarily matter how much you weigh, because it's not going to be completely off, it's not going to be like 2 stone off. It might be a couple of pounds off, and that's okay, but it's always keeping consistent with the scale that you're using, the tape measure that you're using. If you're taking pictures, making sure you're taking it at the same angle, with the same like checking outfit, underwear, whatever you've got on, just to keep everything nice consistent, so you can accurately monitor the data week by week as well. And then if you don't do this, make sure that you're weighing yourself fasted. And what I mean by that is first thing in the morning, after you've been to the bathroom, and before you've eaten and drank anything. Like, there's no point in weighing at the end of the day, because depending on what you've chosen to eat, the volume in your food, it can give you varying different results as well. And you can actually test. This is quite a good tool that I get some of my guys to use if they don't understand the reason why to do this, is stand on the scale when you're fasted and have like a glass of water next to you. Come off the scale, have a swig of that water and stand on it again, and you'll see the difference on your weight. It's quite interesting, and that's just from like drinking a little bit of water. You know yourself, you have not gained fat in that 3 seconds, you just had a bit of water, so it can logically show you that too. It's also really good to track weekly averages as well. So if you are okay with stepping on the scales daily, it is more accurate to take daily weigh-ins and calculate an average. Now, what the app that I use to coach my clients does is that if I have guys that do take daily weigh-ins, is that it already calculates an average for them, so they don't have to do that work. There are apps that you can use. There's one called Happy Scale, which is good for that, which just input your daily weigh-in, and it'll give you an average and how that's going as well, because that'll give you a more accurate trend downwards. And you'll also be able to see how you'll get weekly and daily fluctuations with your scale weight too. It's also really good to zone out from scale weight altogether. It might be, if you're really in your head about scale weight, knock scale weight on the head, completely come away from it, hide the scale somewhere, and focus on other things as well. So as I said, it may just be focusing on your metrics, it may be focusing on your pictures, it might be focusing on your performance in the gym, getting better sleep, looking at non-scale victories, like I said, your strength gains, looser clothing, even little things like, I've got like an elastic band on my watch at the moment, but what I had before this was just like, your usual watch, and it's like one notch tighter on your watch, or one notch tighter on your belt. all of these things are just things to celebrate as well. If your shirts are feeling like a little bit looser, if you're, let's say, on the leg curl and you can tighten it a little bit more, and little things like that are things to hugely celebrate along your journey as well. So, thank you as usual for listening to me waffle on. I hope you found this podcast informative, useful, and most importantly that you've learned from it. You've probably picked up something that you haven't heard of before, or you didn't know, or you were surprised by. If you did, and if you learned something new, just do me a favour and please subscribe, leave a review, maybe even put a little comment at the bottom of this podcast as well, and I'll look over the comments and reply to you as well. It just helps this podcast grow. It helps this podcast get out to more people, just so I can help more people as well and educate more people as well. And if you want more personalised guidance with you and the goal that you're working towards, just shoot me a message over either on Spotify, or even just reach out to me on my Instagram. In the podcast description, I do have like a little link with my Instagram, which is, if you don't know, it's siobhan.builtformore. And if you want to find out more about coaching, or if you just have like a certain question that you want me to help you with, just shoot me a message on Instagram and I'll be always happy to help. And if you can, please share the podcast with friends, share it on your stories, tag me, do all that fun thing so I can see that you're listening. And yeah, if you found this podcast helpful, please let me know as well. So next episode, which is actually going to publish the same time as this, so you can literally just continue listening and continue watching the next episode as well, which is going to be how and why my coaching service works. So it's going to be a deep dive into coaching and how, I was going to say how amazing I am as a coach. But I was like, that's going to sound really big-headed. But no, like, I am an amazing coach and my service is really, really amazing as well. So I'm going to go into detail about my service, how it works, how I work with people on an individual basis, and how I get people incredible results as well, which might be really, really interesting for you to know if you guys don't know about that at all. But thank you so much, as usual, for listening to me waffle. Any questions, you know where I am. If you're not following me on Instagram, what are you doing? Where have you been? Give me a follow on siobhan.builtformore, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.